Hey everyone, this is a walkthrough for my Wild Ontario blueberry jam recipe I know you're going to enjoy. Wild blueberry picking is one of my favorite things to do during the summer. Making jam with the berries I harvested is a wonderful tradition my mom and grandmother passed down to me. The blueberries I am using for this recipe are ones my family and I picked in Timmins, Ontario in 2023. I love this recipe because it only calls for 2 ingredients, blueberries and sugar. You can make this jam in 8 simple steps. The prep time for this recipe varies depending on if you're using fresh or frozen blueberries. The cook time is about 3.5 hours and the difficulty for this recipe is a 3 out of 10. Step 1 is to measure and juice your blueberries. I'm using 19 cups of blueberries for this recipe. As you can see here, I'm also crushing the blueberries with the mason jar in the pot, but use whatever tool you have that won't splash juice everywhere. Spend a few minutes crushing the berries, otherwise your jam will be too thick to spread. Step 2 is to add your sugar. I use 8.5 cups of sugar, which is half the total cups of blueberries I'm using for this recipe. Add your sugar to your blueberries and make sure to have a slight panic attack when it looks like everything's about to spill over the lip of the pot. Continue to stir and dissolve the sugar. Step 3 is to boil and reduce the blueberries. Boil the blueberries on medium-high for 3 hours. The blueberries will thicken and reduce over that time period. Step 4 is to sterilize your jars and your lids. Fill up a canning pot with water and get it boiling. Once it's boiling, add your jars with your canning tongs, cover, and once the water comes back up to a boil, set a timer for 10 minutes. When the 10 minutes is done, everything is sterilized. Use your canning jar tongs to lift the jars out of the hot water and onto a clean dish towel. While your jars are boiling, put your lids on a stove top in a pot of water on low. Don't boil them. It's important to remember to always use new lids when you're canning. Step 5 is to test the thickness of your jam. After a few hours of stirring the blueberries on occasion, you can check the thickness of your blueberries. To do this, I put a plate in the freezer for 15 minutes. Then, I take a small spoonful of the blueberries and put it on the plate and back into the freezer for another 5 minutes. I pull the plate out of the freezer and run my finger through the middle of it to see if the liquid is running. As you can see here, the liquid is still too runny. Keep reducing and testing until you're able to run your finger through the jam without the jam running. You can also see that the liquid in the pot has gone down almost 2 inches over that 3-hour time period. Now your jam is ready to jar. Step 6 is to start filling your jars. Fill your jars with jam and make sure to leave a ½ inch of headspace above your jam. Once they are all filled, give the rims a clean with white vinegar and a paper towel. Grab your lids and screw on your tops. Step 7 is to pressurize your jars. Carefully place the jars in the basket of your canning pot using your canning tongs. Lower the basket into your water and make sure you have at least 1 inch of water above each of the lids. Bring the water up to a boil again, put on your lid and set your timer for 16 minutes. For step 8, you will need to remove the jars from the water with your canning tongs after the 16-minute mark. Let the jars rest on a clean dishcloth overnight. As they cool, you will hopefully hear the lids pop. Once they do, you can ensure that they have sealed correctly by looking at the lids to see if they are inverted. If you press down on the lids and they don't pop back up, they've sealed correctly and are good to store for the long haul. If you press down on the tops and they pop up and down, put those jars in the fridge and use them first. Once the jars cool, you are ready to enjoy. As you can see here, the jam is the perfect consistency for spreading. This 2-ingredient jam is truly delicious and is amazing to share with family and friends. Although picking wild blueberries and making jam can be a bit time consuming, it's also incredibly rewarding because you can extend the shelf life of wild blueberries and enjoy them anytime you want. Thanks for checking out the video. Please like and subscribe for more wild cooking content. I hope you get to try this recipe sometime, and if you do, have an extra bite for me. Thanks for watching.